What an incredible legacy from that long ago to today. So he must have done something that was meaningful. He, back then in the day, when it was heretical to think so and to do so, he used to believe that it was worthwhile cutting people open after they were dead, which was obviously the advantage. And he used this medical knowledge to suggest that the number of fluids we have in our body, 4 major styles of... Finish your coffee, by the way, because it's going to get a bit mucky. Okay? 4 major types of fluid gave rise to certain types of behavior when that person had been alive. And what I'm going to try and do, I'm going to try and show you, I'm going to try and demonstrate, if you will, that style of behavior, or the styles of behavior that Dr. Hippocrates saw 500 years ago, 500 BC, should I say, in his very first surgery on the island of Kos.
So what about the internet? A thorny issue. I debated with myself long and hard about whether I should even touch the internet in this presentation. But I came out with the one conclusion that I could not avoid it. Who thinks, just with a show of hands, that the internet is a threat to our practices today? I don't know, I'd say 25% of people-ish. The internet filled us with dread when it came about, with regards to optics. People selling glasses online, people wanting to just take a prescription over an email, let you choose your frame and let it be dispensed, people selling contact lenses online, just treating it like anything else, like a bar of soap, or you're shopping from Tesco's. The truth is, and it's a real reality, is the internet is not a threat to us. The internet, as a trading area within UK optics, has been around since just prior to 2004. In that time, it has achieved no more than 5% of volume, 6% of volume, sorry, and 4% of value of the total market. Now, 2.65 billion, who wouldn't want 1% of that? If you can have a really low-cost model, really simple. Absolutely. But they are not challenging and threatening us in practice in the way that we ever thought that they would do. The multiples have gone into this area with online contact lens retailing, and I ran Sainsbury's Contact Lenses.co.uk. It gave us an amazing amount of insight. But you never realised that DNA was Sainsbury's Contact Lenses.co.uk back in the day. It gave us a huge amount of insight. Very, very few people can actually complete the transaction when they start off with you. Because if you're following the rules correctly, they don't give you a contact lens specification. They'll give you a sight test prescription. They won't go back and ask you for a copy of my contact lens specification, please, because I want to go online and order it. Because they trust you, they like you, they respect you. They don't want to have that uncomfortable conversation. And because we have this loyalty from our patients, it means that the contact lens market online and the specs market online as well cannot grow and become anything that we really thought it could do in the first place. Be a player in it if you want to make some money, but you're going to have high overheads and it takes up a huge amount of your time to be able to validate all those bits and bobs that are coming through.
Andrew Grove, you know, the guy that founded Intel Business, he says that there comes a point in every business's life cycle that unless you're prepared to make a radical change to take you to the next level of business performance, then things begin to decline. And you see it in product life cycle all the time. Who's an iPhone owner? Popular things right now. And now, of course, we've had the first iPhone. We all rushed out and we bought one of those. Sales went up. The change began. And then sales plateaued a bit. Okay, so we'll reinvent. We'll come with the iPhone 2. Guess what? Sales go up. And the cycle continues. Now we're on iPhone 4. But unless we take that risk to radically change, then often we can see that our businesses begin to go into decline.
Will a customer who says they are satisfied with you, your service, use you again? In the main, yes or no? Can I see green for whether you think it's yes, and red if you think it's no? Ooh. That looks about 2/3, 3/4 green. So, that's the first thing. That's the first thing in terms of why we have to go to outstanding service. The world has changed. The world has undoubtedly changed for many, many reasons, but one of them is that the customer who is satisfied actually doesn't tend to stay with you the next time. Many, many studies. So 80% of customers who, defectors as they often get called, who stopped using a company, said they were satisfied with the service the last time they used you. Isn't that interesting? So satisfying is no longer enough, hence the reason why outstanding service. Basically, what we find, what we know, and we've known for many years, is that when a customer says they're very satisfied or completely satisfied, they are 5 times more likely to buy from you the next time around. 5 times. It doesn't have to be a huge thing, and I'll go on to give you some ideas of what to do in that area, but it has to be more than satisfied. The other way to think about that is when you say satisfactory. It has a totally different feel to it, doesn't it? Okay, now we're on to the buttons, so dig into this a bit more. So what if we actually get it wrong? Let's look at it from the negative side for a moment. What if we actually deliver an experience where the customer feels that it's bad? How many people do they tell? 49. We're going for 11. 49, 33 for 50, and so we go on. Okay. So, for those of you who put 11, I'll say sort of half a point for that. Used to be said, the most common figure, and you may have heard this, is between 10 and 12. That's the figure that's been used for very many, many years, so if you put 11, I can understand why. However, this is actually the true answer. Over 1,000 now. And we know why, don't we? For one very simple reason. We have the ability now to tell anybody if we have a bad experience, don't we? It is so, so easy because of primarily the internet, because of social media. The kind of guy I spent 4 days recently in the States visiting. In 4 days, I visited 37 opticians. And that was either to go and do a mystery shop or a booked appointment. So I'm obviously a consumer myself. I use different opticians, but I go to hundreds and hundreds of opticians. So I just thought I'd share with you some of the things that I've encountered that have made me smile. And do please take it that this is a very critical eye, because that's what I'm about, is a very critical eye. So the first one is this pre-assessment I'm noticing in particular, and this is perhaps in the multiples particularly. I love the pre-assessment. Pre-assessment, number of tests. I have yet to actually be explained, it's actually been explained to me, what is going on. You know? So you come in, the receptionist greets you in some kind of form, you sit down, somebody comes and gets you, they don't tell you who they are, what they're going to do, they just get on with the tests. And then they pass you on to the optician, and usually you have to repeat the information that you've given to the first one anyway. You know, what it feels to me, what a phrase I keep saying is, we are processed rather than served. That's how it feels to me in a lot of them. I just feel like a conveyor belt. Move him on to the next bit. Move him on to the next bit. Get him on to the next bit. Go on. Get him on. He'll be fine. You know, companies, ones that are where I have been a customer, can I honestly say I ever feel that I am a valued customer? Do I ever feel that anybody actually recognizes me? Not particularly. But then again, the ones that I've been in for the first time, they're not much better either. I'm just another number. Oh, hello, Mr. DL today. Never any actually feeling of greeting me. You know, so there's greeting and welcoming me back. I just feel processed.
Okay, so I'm going to do this behavior. Think of the word as I do this. Doctor, good to see you. I saw a sign outside the door saying no appointment necessary. Very useful, very busy person, got a lot to do, got a lot to get through. Notice you've got all the right equipment. Useful, I'm a busy man. Hurt my arm quite badly. Need you to sort it out within the next 10 minutes, as I say, because I'm busy. Can you do it, yes or no? Speak up. Yes. Yes, fantastic. I'll be back in a sec. Thank you.
It's really great to get this sort of insight because we can see the sort of trends that are changing over the years. I think there's a small number of people who are just using it for the business. More people who are using it personally, which is great because you're developing the skills already that you might need to use it for the business. More people still who are using it for business and personal. I've probably linked up with you on Twitter already. If you've been thinking about it, listen hard because I'm going to give you some pointers to help you go from thinking about it to taking action. And taking action is so important. I know that by using social media, you can boost your business income by £50,000 a year. I'll tell you a bit more about that later on. But if you're thinking about it, put that big £50,000 up there as a reason why you might like to take action.
Behaviour. What was the behaviour you saw? I heard the word aggressive. Rushed. Hectic. Irascible. That's fantastic. I'm not writing these up. I could never have spelled that one out. Anything else you saw? Controlled. Control or controlling? Controlling. A little bit of both, perhaps. Did anybody see purposeful? Anybody see direct? To the point. Not wasting that guy's time, getting on with things. Results focused. No bad thing, is it? Well, yeah, of course it is, if it comes across as aggressive and controlling and intolerant and irascible.
You see, it's very easy to say to people, and I will say this to you in a moment, is put yourself in your customer's shoes. But your customer is actually 180 degrees in the opposite place to you, aren't they? When you're dealing with them. You know, when they sit there, you're of course opposite them. You're doing all the tests on them, you're facing the other way, 180 degrees. You'll agree with that. You know, what they see and what you see is completely different. When was the last time you sat in your reception and just looked at what they see when they will be waiting to come and see you? When was the last time you sat outside maybe a colleague's office where they're testing somebody and just listened to what they heard? Because it's usually your colleague who will be speaking most, right? Proactively provide information on how to avoid problems and get more out of your product. Has more effect on people coming back to you than anything else you can do. And only slightly ahead of number 2, by the way. Tell them about new products and services they can really use. Isn't that interesting? You see, there's this whole problem we have in this country, wherever you go about, no, I don't want to sell to anybody. I'm not into selling, I'm in service. But actually, that's the thing they want. Quality is the service of product. It's not what you put into it. You're all doing a really big job on this at the moment. It's not what you put into it, it's what the customer gets out of it.
You see, the interesting thing about behavior, it's not so much what is happening, it's your interpretation of what's happening. That's probably the big takeaway today. It's not what somebody does or indeed the way they do it. It's your decision to make that mean something to you. And we have a choice. All that was behavior. The rest of it was your interpretation. What makes a good salesperson? And I suggest it's this, that you understand yourself a little bit. A little bit of what we were talking about earlier on today. Understanding self. And then, of course, understanding the other. Understanding others. And if you are measuring yourself by anything like the same sort of measurement, same sort of gradient, then you'll start from about here. You recognize, will be about here. And then all you've got to do is recognize that your communication is across that gap. Sometimes the communication gap will be closer. Other times it will be so far away, you wonder if you could even reach them with a yodel. But that's your deal. That's what communication is all about. If you can understand self, understand others, and then use that awareness, bringing to consciousness that which you do already, sub or unconsciously, you decide about people. Bring it to consciousness, adapt and connect with them, and become, ultimately, their trusted healthcare, business, professional, grooming, whatever it is that you do, their advisor. Some people might even call that become their friend. Because people buy from people that they know, like, and trust, strangely.
I'd just like to thank everybody for coming. I'd like to thank our title sponsors, Essilor and Johnson & Johnson, and all the other exhibitors who give us support year after year, which makes this seminar possible. I think we've had a fantastic day today. I said earlier on that I thought the morning session was the best ever session we'd had. I'm happy to say I think this afternoon session has actually equaled, if not topped that. So I'm a happy bunny. Thank you very much, guys.
We've got a brief clip of next year's theme, which is all centred around close encounters of the patient kind. Thank you very much. Have a safe journey home.